I'm here with Bryson Graham, Assistant General Manager of the New Orleans Pelicans. So before we get into draft talk, you have been here with the Pelicans for over a decade, starting as an intern. How neat is it for you to be in the position that you are now, knowing you started here?
It's really cool. I think when I started, I would have never imagined that I would be spending my entire, NBA tenure with one team, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. New Orleans is my second home now, and it's just so much fun. And just over the years, I've been able to meet a lot of really, really good people and work with a lot of good people, and a lot of people that have poured into me as an employee here, and I'm just really grateful.
You've climbed the ranks, you're now the Assistant General Manager, you have a big hand in the draft. What exactly is your role as far as the draft goes?
Yeah, sure. So when Griff got the job, I was, still here with Dale, and basically just, not really having a previous relationship with Griff. We got to know each other, and a lot of it came through to going out on the road because the draft was it was kind of happening in June. He came in the previous month, so we spent a lot of time on the road together, got to know each other and talk players. And my role with the team is basically building out a board and having things in order for us when it comes to making a decision, and really trying to guide both Griff and Trajan in the right direction to help make ultimately their decision on who's the best fit for our team.
So when does that process start?
Yeah, it starts early in the year. We can be at college practices starting in September. And so in September, we're just kind of building profiles on players, watching a ton of practices, and then you go into preseason tournaments, from preseason tournaments to conference play, from conference play to the tournament, and to the NCAA tournament, and then you have draft workouts. And so there's like layers to the season, but it really starts early in the fall.
About how many events do you go to throughout the year?
So I go to quite a few. Events, more so college basketball games and international games. I feel like you get more out of those because the game setting and it's you get to watch players and how they interact with their teammates, how they interact with their coaches and things of that nature. But throughout the year, in terms of events, I would say we go to a handful, but more games.
And then when it comes to this point in the process, you bring players in for the pre-draft workouts. How does that differ from what you're looking at when you're seeing them in a game?
Yeah, so you can only have 6 players, a 3-on-3 setting, and you just have more control over the setting. So if there's a particular player that you want to see a certain skill, well, you can map that out. Like if a guy is a questionable shooter, you can put them in, drills to see how well he shoots it. If a guy's a questionable decision maker, where you can put him in drills that that are kind of exploit maybe his decision making. So as an organization, as a front office, we really like to look at these guys, see what their weaknesses are and see what their strengths are. And then when we get an opportunity to put our hands on them, we get a chance to, kind of see what they look like in our gym and how they would fit our team.
Sure. When do those workouts start?
They start at the beginning of May. Sometimes we'll wait until after the combine to have workouts. And a lot of that is because, the process of agents, they really want their guys to wait until after the balls fall, like we're picking at 8. So there are players, I would say probably 15 to 20 guys in this year's draft that we want to make sure that we get into our gym and put them through all our testing and things of that nature. Wanted to wait until after the combine. And so I would say we really start that process mid-May.
You have all of those people that come in, the draft happens. But when the draft's over, then you have the undrafted free agents.
Yes.
And you've hit on several over the past few years, most notably Jose Alvarado. and then before that, Najee Marshall. How do you find those type of players?
Well, it's really our group. We build out a draft board, and we really try to follow our draft board. And Griff and Trajan have confidence, in the board, and it's just kind of like, crossing guys off as we go along. So internally, we may be a lot higher on a player than other organizations are, and I think some of that, some of our good fortune has come down to that, and just the leadership that Griffin, Trajan, and their scouting eye as well, of saying let's roll with it. Let's sign. They check the boxes that mean the most to us. So yeah.
Another player that stood out last season, Herb Jones, the second round pick.
Yeah.
Is that kind of something that you saw that you really liked, or what was it that stood out to you about Jones that was able to get him to be as good as he was this year for us?
Sure. Really good question. Herb was a 4-year player, and he was very decorated. Like he won a lot. He was always impacted winning. The one thing about Herb was his shooting that was in question, and rightfully so. Like his shooting numbers weren't great, but we have a really good player development staff, and Fred Vinson is a really good shooting coach, and so we kind of have a competitive advantage on other teams because we can take risk with players that maybe lack in the shooting area but cover every other aspect. So Herb was a really good defender, he was a really good passer, he had a high IQ, and he had great size for his position. And so the one area that you're kind of in question with is shooting. If Herb was a really good shooter in college, there's 0% chance he'd be at 35. and so we were able to work on those skills, and he's a super hard worker, and it just worked out.
It definitely worked out. It was really fun to watch this season. Thank you, Bryson, so much for spending some time talking to me ahead of the draft.
Absolutely.